What's your name?
Don't you know? Hi, my name is Dave Ormsby, and this is my studio, The Basement. I've been drumming since I was 10 years old, so for the last 18 years. I got into it kind of just through listening to my parents' records, just starting to like tap out to it a little bit, and you know, playing on pots and pans and things like that, and whatever I could get my hands on in front of, you know, like MTV and, you know, music channels, things like that. Just kind of went from there. I started getting drum lessons. My mum and dad were really supportive, and you know, they were great in just taking me to get lessons and see how I did, and you know, I really enjoyed it. So they had to kind of bite the bullet, warn the neighbours and buy me a drum kit, you know, which I'm very thankful for. Yeah, I then, you know, ended up in secondary school and, you know, started meeting other people who were also musicians. You know, got invited to, you know, a couple of band practices, things like that. Started playing in bands with those guys, doing, you know, local gigs, all that kind of stuff, and then it kind of really, that was when it really kind of set in, and you know, I got super into the music and playing the drums then. Loads of, you know, different bands growing up. I was lucky, you know, my mum and dad were into like, you know, like the Eagles, Motown, a lot of soul, and you know, the people like the Beatles, you know, and so getting into those records and really taking a lot from those drummers, and that kind of really shaped how I wanted to play music myself. I feel like I'm really lucky to be inspired by a lot of drummers and a lot of bands and artists that are very kind of songwriter heavy, and you know, they really, the first thought for a lot of those drummers is, you know, how can I serve this song and how can I help improve it, and it's all about that, you know, the greater picture, and that's something that I feel like I've kind of taken onto myself as a drummer as well. Going to jam nights, meeting other musicians, then starting to get work in different bands, you know, starting to actually kind of get paid for gigs as well, and you know, it wasn't long after that I kind of realised, you know, there's actually a potential for a career here and not just, you know, something that I really enjoy doing. So yeah, I was always pretty, from like an early age, from maybe around kind of 13, I was pretty certain that drumming's going to kind of be the avenue for me, because I just enjoyed it so much, and you know, it was and probably remains to this day like the only thing that I've really, you know, wanted to and really enjoyed putting so much effort into all the time, regardless of, you know, what the outcome is. I just love putting that time and effort in and learning it, you know, and that's, I think, you know, a sign of when, you know, you really do kind of love something that you're doing. Yeah. In my late teens, I started playing, you know, more and more regularly with different artists, and started touring with different bands, things like that. And then, you know, really starting to work a lot more regularly and, you know, play different genres, play with different types of people, and, you know, really discover, you know, a lot of different facets of the music industry and things that I started to, you know, avenues I wanted to start to go down in terms of like maybe production and studio things that kind of started, you know, fairly early on. And then, yeah, I spent, you know, a good number of years touring with, you know, different artists and then playing in the studio. And then slowly over time, you know, I really started to kind of develop a studio bug and just enjoying that session side of things, you know, and being able to kind of craft a song kind of like the ones that, you know, I grew up hearing, and, you know, I wanted to really replicate that. And I'd always find, you know, myself in a good place in the studio. I always really enjoyed the atmosphere, the different types of people you could work with, and just the techniques and methods of doing that kind of stuff. I love gigging still to this day, but there's always been a special kind of energy in the studio, and something that is, you know, really satisfying about making something that, you know, is permanent, and, you know, you can look back on and it kind of reflects, you know, maybe who you were as a musician at that time. My name is Dave Ormsby. I am a session drummer from Liverpool, and this is my studio. Was that what you asked?
Beautiful.
Was that what you asked?
That's perfect.
I was trying.